when he was talking about getting shot. And he said, I looked down and my hand was blood, covered with blood, and there was blood all over the place. And then I showed a picture of his hand with no blood. I'm not diminishing what happened. I'm just saying in his, that was so indicative of who he is. In his mind, the thing was just crazy blood, but it was just a little blood here.
You've had those conversations where you might have gotten into an altercation, a shouting match with somebody, but it turned into like the fight from Rocky IV. But in your mind, when you're having to deal with that, yes, it's a major situation. The man almost lost his life. I'm gonna give him some editorial movement on the amount of blood on his hand.
That's Republican Representative Byron Donalds schooling Bill Maher for calling Donald Trump a liar in the wake of the failed assassination attempt on his life. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and boy oh boy does it look like Bill Maher stepped in it by inviting Byron Donalds on his show. It's clear he thought he was going to get some sort of dim-witted Trump lackey, but that definitely wasn't the case.
Here's the things that bother me about him. I know no politician is perfect. I can let a lot of shit go.
Right.
But one, he doesn't concede elections. That's always going to be a deal breaker for me. Does not concede elections and has gotten all you guys to pretend that they won the last election. Two, he just lies. Like he doesn't even care or know what he's lying about. It just, I mean, I have a list just from last night. The election was stolen. No, it wasn't. Crime is up. Crime is down. Worst inflation ever. It's been 23. It's 3. You know, the people coming, illegals have killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. 107% of new jobs went to illegal aliens. It doesn't bother you that he just, whatever he thinks should be the reality is the reality that he then espouses, even though you know it's not? That doesn't bother you?
What he talks about is what Americans are feeling every single day, no matter what city in the country you're talking about.
So facts don't matter.
Inflation. Oh, no, they do. Inflation. Let's take that one for a moment. Yeah, the year over year right now is what, 3.4, 3.5%? But the overarching move of inflation from when Joe Biden took office to now is up massively over 20%. Those prices didn't go away, Bill.
Then
They're
say
still
that.
there.
Don't say it's the
They're
worst
still there.
ever. That's a lie.
Because if you're an American under the age of 45 or 45 and younger, like I am, this is the worst inflation you've ever seen. I heard about inflation from my mom under Jimmy Carter, and Reagan had to get that under control. I've never seen anything like this. It's one of the reasons why young voters, young men in particular, are saying, you know what? At least when Donald Trump was president, I had more money in my pocket and I could get more things. Because this Joe Biden guy, he's not getting it done.
Donalds is absolutely correct here, and frankly, some of the stuff Trump said wasn't that far off base. Nearly all of the new job growth that Democrats have been bragging about went to foreign-born workers, which seems like an issue to me. And as far as crime, we don't really track that properly related to immigration, so it's difficult to give an estimate on the direct or indirect consequences of having millions of people pour into your country unchecked. But the fact of the matter is that none of this should be happening because they're here illegally, and arguing semantics like this is a little rich from a party that used the word genocide to describe 31 trans deaths last year. Or one that pushes the narrative that bigoted cops are out to shoot minorities when there's only been 4 unarmed black men shot by police this year. Maher's complaining about lying, but that's all Democrats do. I mean, look no further than all the hoaxes and lies they've pushed about Trump, which Bill apparently had no problem supporting.
Okay, so J.D. Vance. Here's a quote from him. Many of the most unhappy and most miserable and most angry people in our media are childless adults. This seems to be a big theme of his. He also said, we are effectively run in this country, be it the Democrats, be it corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable in their own lives. He mentions Kamala Harris. I think she has kids, doesn't she? Pete Buttigieg. I know he has kids. AOC, well, she's early 30s. People don't always have kids. The entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. Okay, I know you're talking about me. But, I mean, I find this very offensive. This idea that, like, there's only one way to be happy. And I know this was trying to be a more inclusive convention.
Well, that's nice, but why should we care what the left finds offensive? Particularly people like Bill Maher, a guy who routinely ridicules families, Republicans, traditional values, and Christians. I mean, Kamala Harris announced her candidacy surrounded by drag queens, and we aren't allowed to make a peep. But suddenly we're supposed to care that liberals are offended by what J.D. Vance said? Sorry, but that's not how this works. Can some people be happy without children? Sure, but the pendulum has swung so far in the direction of demonizing families that I honestly don't care at this point. Besides, Vance has a point. Childless people have no skin in the game, and their political interest ends at the tip of their nose. It's why the majority of them are liberal and don't care about debt, immigration, or entitlement programs as long as it means cheap labor and free stuff for them. And as far as Bill Maher goes, I wouldn't call a guy who can't go one day without drugs, alcohol, prostitutes, or losing his mind about Trump happy. But let me know what you think. Should conservatives care about offending the left? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye!